Okay. Ready to begin?
We are
Okay.
ready.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelly, for the introduction. And I wanted to thank you all for being on the call and welcome to our first inaugural series of our Wellness Wednesdays. Tonight, our topic is the power of nutrition and diabetes. And before I introduce our guest speaker, Heather, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Tahki Jayasvasti. I am an internal medicine physician in Auburn Hills, Michigan. And I have been in private practice for almost 15 years. I have a traditional practice, so I see a lot of diabetes, I see hypertension, I focus on heart disease, but my main emphasis is weight loss and prevention. And for my first few years in practice, I was diagnosing and treating medical diseases with a very traditional paradigm, meaning medications. And it wasn't until 8 years ago when everything changed. I found a better way. My neighbor invited me to a Juice Plus event, and the speaker was a breast cancer surgeon, and she was talking about the importance of fruits and vegetables in her breast cancer patients. And it immediately made sense to me because I knew that we all needed more fruits and vegetables in our diet. And so I started taking Juice Plus myself. I had no idea of what the impact of saying yes to Juice Plus would mean to me 8 years later, not only in my personal life, but in my professional life. Since I have been taking it, I have noticed more energy, more mental clarity, better sleep, better recovery time for my workouts, and more importantly, I have not been sick in 8 years, and that is actually saying a lot, seeing sick patients all the time. But I have to say the most rewarding thing about saying yes to Juice Plus 8 years ago is that now I finally have a solution that I can offer my patients. As I said, I see a lot of diseases. I see hypertension, diabetes, and I truly love treating diabetes. And before Juice Plus came along, it was all about medications. And I'm a physician, so I understand that we need medications to in this particular disease state. But also as a physician, I know that nutrition and putting better nutrition into our bodies will do amazing things for our bodies. And that's really why we're here today. I wanted to share some stories with you, and I'm going to introduce Heather, our speaker, with you. But what I really wanted, I could regale you with stories of patients that I have put on Juice Plus. They come back to me, their blood parameters are improved, they're lowering their medication doses, their medication burdens are improved, and they're just overall feeling better. And for me as a physician, that is very rewarding to me. But I think my favorite diabetes story is actually my own father. He has had diabetes for decades, and 8 years ago, he also got started on Juice Plus, and he golfs, plays tennis, works out. He travels with my mom, and I'll tell you, as a daughter and as a physician, knowing that my dad is putting 26 fruits, vegetables, and berries in his body every day, coursing through his veins, decreasing his inflammation, protecting his DNA, improving his immune system, all of those things makes me feel very good. And I think for all of us on this call, helping our loved ones improve their own health and live longer, I think is really what we're all here about, or that we're here for. And that actually leads me to introducing my guest speaker tonight. Heather has a very powerful story. Heather is a mom on a mission, and I would love for her to share her Juice Plus story and her Juice Plus and diabetes story. So Heather, did you want to
Sure. Thank
get
you
started?
so much, Tahki. I loved hearing your story too.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Heather Cook. I'm a senior sales coordinator with the Juice Plus company, and I've been consuming Juice Plus for just about 1.5 years now. I am, like she said, a mom of 2 amazing boys and live in the seacoast of New Hampshire. And we had a lot of fertility issues, so we have 2 boys that are 8 years apart. I totally blessed with both my little miracles. And when my second was 5 months of age, my first was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes about almost 3 years ago. And it was a major blow to our family and pretty much broke my husband and I. But after the 4 days of just being devastated with his diagnosis, both of us came together and said, this diagnosis will never, ever define my son or determine what he can and cannot do in this world. And then the second thing that came to this mama's brain was, oh my God, I have to feed him. What do I have to do that? And so I started on a mission of just figuring out what's the best way to fuel his body. He needs to be able to leave my house knowing at 18 years old that he has to grab an apple, not a Snicker bar, and that he has to add some peanut butter with that or something, because he's got to have a balanced diet. And I was blessed to be part of this amazing diabetes support group. And a complete stranger came up to me and said, hey, I've noticed in the past, year that you've been talking about your son being out over 20 days of school a year. And that wasn't counting how many days he was sick. It was just how many days of school he was missing due to illness because his immune system was down. And I was frantic over it because when a type 1 child gets sick, it's not just throw him on the couch with saltines and some ginger ale. It's, I have to check ketones and monitor him every half an hour to an hour so that he doesn't die from the flu. And so there's really some scariness around it. And so I became extremely aware and wanted to know way more about this Juice Plus thing. And what do you mean your daughter has never been on an antibiotic in 12 years? So my son was my catalyst for that. And and he was also before that, I couldn't get enough fruits and vegetables into him because he only wanted cucumbers, apples, and broccoli. So that was something that was really resonated with me. And I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I'm proud to say that in just over a year and a half, he's been sick less than 72 hours and not even just maybe a sniffle, nothing really bad. And he eats all the colors of the rainbow and eats amazing, amazing fruits and vegetables. So for me, it's just been an unbelievable gift for him. And I just left his parent-teacher conference tonight, and I'm proud to say that the one big thing that they said to me is, boy, does that kid know nutrition? And he's 11 years old. So they're like, he eats so well, and we can't believe all the food you send in with him. And what's this shake he eats every day at lunch? So it's definitely making a difference with my son. So very excited about that.
And Heather, I know when you and I had spoken earlier, you had talked about, and I can understand this as a doctor, you said it was so difficult for me to be his human pancreas. I felt like I was his human pancreas. And
I am.
Tell us a little bit about how that burden of being his pancreas, how it affected your family, financially, and missed days of school, and then how having finally found good nutrition, how that has finally helped your family maybe get on a different financial footing.
Yes. So I always joke when people say, well, what do you do? And because I used to be in telecommunications for many, many years, and I worked, long days, and there's just no way I could have done what I do today in a telecommunications world. And so my first answer is always, everyone laughs at me, but I said, well, I'm a 24-hour human pancreas because that's my first job, because I've got to keep my son alive. And the second is that I'm a mom and a wife, and I'm a wellness consultant, and I love nutrition. And so when we started taking this, my son and I were the first to start it, and just kind of seeing, and the benefits that I saw, immediately, people were like, wow, if she's putting her type 1 kid on this, what we're going to do it. We're not even going to question Heather. She's done her research. And so I did not get into the business to start taking the product to start sharing with everybody. It just happened organically because people respected what I said and that I was doing. And then they saw how amazing we were doing. And my husband decided to try it because we get up every single night at 12 and 3 to check my son, because diabetes doesn't always play nice, and it definitely does not play nice in the middle of the night. So we always check him from the day he's been diagnosed until I will probably call his wife to make sure he's been checked at 12 and 3. As long as I'm breathing, he'll be checked at 12 and 3. And so we're not sleeping, and we're not getting that sleep. And so when my husband started seeing a pep in my step, even though I'm up at all those hours and sometimes for hours on end to feed him sugar to, bring his blood sugar up at 3 a.m, he was like, wow, I need to try this now. And so that was a huge thing for us, that God, if I have this much energy on no sleep, I'm amazed at what people must feel if they're on this and they're getting 8 hours of good sleep. So that was huge for us, and we're not sick anymore. And my husband, we have to take 4 days off a year to take him to Joslin because we drive to Boston. And we were having to take more time off because of sick time for him. And when he was sick for those 20 plus days, like I said, you can't just leave him. So he has to be monitored, and we have a baby. So he'd have a lot of missed work, and I couldn't go back to work because I'm called by the school nurse 4 or 5 times a day, and I'm monitoring his blood sugar all the time. So and we were financially hit, like you mentioned, when you and I talked, completely financially hit. Diabetes isn't cheap, and we weren't going to let finances stop us from getting a pump or a glucose monitor for our child for safety. And this business has allowed me to financially start to support to help my husband financially. I work around being a human pancreas. So it's been quite an amazing gift for us all around.
And I know, Heather, we also talked about the financial burden of actually being sick. You said your son was sick so often, and then once he started getting good nutrition in his body, he had less sick days. So talk a little bit about how that can impact a family when you don't have to take off work, when your husband doesn't have to take off work. Because I know, for me personally, not being sick in 8 years as a physician has been an incredible boon for me, because every day that I don't go to the office, I'm not seeing patients and I'm not making revenue for the practice. So, but from your standpoint, as a patient standpoint, and as a mom of a patient, how has finally getting your son healthy changed that picture for your family?
Well, I can't get rid of the cost of insulin. I can't get rid of the cost of pump supplies and CGM supplies. I can't get rid of the cost of glucose tabs or juice, for him. That is something that, until there's a cure, we're going to have to do that. But what I have gotten rid of is copays. I don't pay for antibiotics. I don't pay for the doctor visits. I don't pay for my husband having to explain for the umpteenth time that he needs to take a day off from work. My son isn't missing out on rock climbing. He's not missing out on school activities or school functions because he's homesick. We're not having the stress related around sickness for us. Just having the disease is stressful enough, and having to manage it is hideous. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. But not having that, by having this nutrition in our body and not being sick, and being able to just live every day to the fullest and not allow it to define him, and we're now able to, get ahead of the cost rather than constantly pouring money into doctor bills. It's just amazing.
And I'm so glad you mentioned the copay part, Heather, because sharing a little bit about, me being I'm in the front lines of disease. And so a lot of times I hear from patients, oh my gosh, my copays are going up, my medication copays are going up. So as I mentioned earlier, I love that Juice Plus has provided me a solution that I can provide for my patients, because, for $71 a month, they're actually getting nutrition, and obviously it's not a medicine, but it's 26 fruits and vegetables and berries, which is going to continue to improve their immune system and help them get healthier. Whereas a lot of these patients are paying $20 to $40 per medicine per month on a copay. And so that's what I love, being able to offer my patients a solution that's not only going to improve their health parameters, but improve their bottom line. Because I have seen patients who are able to decrease their medication burden by making better choices. And we know people who take Juice Plus improve as you said, it's a catalyst. They improve their health, they make better choices, their bodies crave more fruits and vegetables. So thank you for bringing up the copay part, because that reminded me to share with all of you on the call tonight. If you have family members who you're sharing Juice Plus with, and when they want to break down how it's going to be budgeted in their life budget, $70 a month is actually a very cost-effective way to maintain your health over time, especially considering the burden of cost of the medications. So thank you for reminding me about that. I wanted to touch on, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're going to pay it somewhere. I'd rather pay for fruits and vegetables and feel good than pay for a bunch of meds and feel like crap.
Yes, I could have said it better myself. What is it? Ray says, for every dollar you spend, you're either investing in your health or subsidizing your illness. So that's something I tell my patients a lot.
Yes.
Another thing that I found interesting when we spoke last, Heather, was you mentioned that your son, being a type 1, he thrives on the Juice Plus Complete.
Yes.
The protein powder.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak a little bit to how his blood sugars are actually more stable?
Yes, so when we get for those of you that know what a continuous glucose monitor is, it monitors Justin's blood glucose. So it shows us after food on a graph what his body does. And as a typical kid, he used to have cereal in the morning. And I'm proud to say we haven't had cereal in over a year. Because when I got that monitor on him and I saw him after, we thought, oh, this is a healthy cereal. I mean, I didn't buy, sugar smacks or whatever. I didn't buy sugar stuff. It was a healthy cereal. So I thought his blood sugar literally went straight up, crested, and went straight back down. And he was falling asleep in class at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And the reason being for that is because it's just sugar. It was not really anything there. So when I saw the Complete, and I didn't get on that right away either. I just started with the capsules and the chewies for him. He's a rock climber. He's a competitive rock climber. And we're trying to figure out stuff that's got, I'd like to call it a slow burn, but basically it's low glycemic. And I saw it, and he wanted, all these kids were drinking Gatorade and all these different things. And he came to me, he said, Mommy, I'd like to do infused water. I'd like to do something else. I need, I'm not wicked hungry, but I need something. I said, well, let's try it. And so he has a Complete shake every single day for snack. He has one before or after rock climbing, mostly after, because that first 30 minutes is crucial for oxidative stress to get really good, nutrition in your body. But that glucose monitor goes like this. There's no spike. And he just does amazing on Complete. And he's just adding so many more fruits and vegetables. So, it's as sugar glycemic as a thing of broccoli.
Right. And I loved it when you said that, because I get a lot of questions about that too, especially with diabetics. Diabetics have to be concerned about the glycemic index of food and their carbohydrate load. So I love that you're having personal experience, obviously, with your son, and you were able to actually prove it with the continuous glucose monitoring, because I know as a physician, looking at the ingredients of the Complete, for those of you on the line who might not know what are familiar, the Complete is the Juice Plus protein powder, very low glycemic index. It's a wonderful meal replacement, also used for snacks, but it's the healthy fast food, we call it. And so for a lot of my patients who are battling this disease state, who do struggle with finding, good food choices, on-the-go food, the first thing they ask me is, what's the sugar load for this? Is it a low glycemic index? And the answer is yes, not just from a science standpoint, but also from personal experience with your son who's a type 1. So that's a really important point that I like to make to everybody on the call tonight, and also that I do share with my parents, and I will share with my parents or my patients, because low glycemic index is very important when you're treating diabetes, and the Juice Plus Complete does have a low glycemic index. You also mentioned, Heather, that you have a tower garden.
We do.
At your house.
It's so much fun.
So the third product in our company is the Tower Garden, which is our hydroponic growing system. And, the Juice Plus company, what I love about the company is they are all about the mission of inspiring healthy living. So obviously we have the fruits and vegetables in a capsule. We have the Complete that we just talked about, and the Tower Garden, which is our growing system. I love mine. I haven't had to go to the grocery store all summer. But what I love is, Heather, your story, when you talk about your kids, how having a tower garden, having fruits and vegetables right in front of them, every day. How has that changed your children's relationship with fruits and vegetables by growing them and seeing them every day?
Well, I will tell you that on top of feeling amazing, not being sick, and knowing more about what nutrition does for our body, probably the best thing that has changed for our family is the conversations in our home around food and what is healthy and what is not, and that food is fuel. And the tower garden in our living room growing, or on our deck this summer, is the center of that. And my kids got excited about growing it. And they, like I said, they were cucumber, broccoli and apple kids. And my sons would go and pluck, arugula or, kale or anything right off the tower garden. This summer, nothing made me more proud than for him to say, "Mom, the bok choy's ready. I'm going to cut it off and cut it up with some fresh ginger and garlic and saute it for you with a little gluten-free soy sauce." I'm like, "What?" My 10-year-old cooking bok choy off the thing, because he looked up his recipe and he figured it out. They all, right down to the 2.5-year-old, planted seeds with me, got everything in, and it tasted amazing. I mean, the freshest we've ever had. I mean, my son one night sat down and had 4 salads. 4. And I'm not talking just to get ranch dressing in his body. He literally ate 4 salads. And I was like, "What have you done with my child?" Because you never ate lettuce before. And so it's been a huge thing for us, just the whole Juice Plus, one simple change of just changing the conversation. And it was said tonight, the teacher said to me tonight, he goes, "I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it, because my parents didn't do that with me. And your son knows more about nutrition and what he puts in his body." A nurse tried to hand him a juice the other day. I pack organic juice for him to bring his blood sugar up. She handed him, she goes, "I don't have time, take this juice." And he looked at it, and he's low, and he's dropping low fast, and he needs glucose. And he looked at her, he goes, "I'm sorry, but I'm not putting this in my body because it has red this, blue this, high fructose corn syrup, and I'm not just putting that in my body." Now he's going low, and he needs to eat something, and he's refusing to eat it because it wasn't good for him. Conversations in our home, and just, we're not perfect. We had cake. It was his 11th birthday the other day, but the conversations have changed. And I feel so confident that if at 11 years old, he can talk like that, that his life is going to be on a very good path of healthy eating for his organs, for his diabetes, for teaching future generations of the Cook family. And I'm just forever grateful.
And I love to hear that, especially, again, as a physician, I treat adults mostly, but to be able to, kids grow up to be adults, and the sooner we can educate kids to be healthy, to make better choices, I will see less of them in my office, and that doesn't bother me at all, because, job security as a physician is obviously not, it's important to me, but I would much rather have people healthy and not come in to see me than to be unhealthy and come in to see me. So the fact that Juice Plus has changed your family's life so dramatically is a wonderful story. And thank you for sharing that with us. I've loved hearing the story about your son with the type 1. And we all know that type 1 and type 2 diabetes are very, very different disease states. In my practice, I see a lot of type 2 diabetes, and some of my patients are able to come off medicines by starting the Juice Plus, but a lot of times it's really just decreasing the medication burden. And I'm not going to go into science or anything, but really I think what Heather and I really wanted to share with you all tonight is that when you put good nutrition in your body, whether it be your body, your sons, your father, your family, your body can do amazing things. And sometimes I feel like I'm an army of one. In my practice, I'm one doctor and I see one patient at a time, and I try to help them, educate them. But with events like this, and with the Juice Plus family, I feel like we are all in this together. And I am so grateful, Heather, for you for being a mom on a mission, Kelly, for you for being a mom on a mission. And I thank all of you for being on the call. I can't see any of your faces right now, but I thank you all for being on the call, because you know what it tells me? Because a lot of you are on the call because you want to learn information, but I know that you are on the call for somebody else. you are touched by somebody else, somebody in your family has diabetes, somebody in your family, you want to hear this message, so they're either on the call with you or you're hopefully learning something here that you're going to bring back to them to inspire them to look further into Juice Plus, to look further into making healthier choices. So thank you all for being on the call and really joining us on this mission, our army of 1 times 1,000, right?
Yeah.
To share Juice Plus with everybody. I also think it's important that all of you on the call thank the person who invited you on the call, because they cared enough about you to want to share this message. And if you have any questions about any of the products, whether it be the Juice Plus, capsules, the Tower Garden, the Complete, the Juice Plus virtual the business, how to earn some extra income on the side, ask the person who invited you on the call. We have lots of resources that they can share with you. And I guess the call to action would be to go out, share healthy living, eat more fruits and vegetables, and be healthy, be happy, and be grateful, as we all are.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before, I'm going to open up the lines so everyone can thank you guys. But before I do, I just want to announce that in December, our Wellness Wednesday call will be on Wednesday, December 14th. And it will be on the healthy living revolution and how that applies to the longevity of Juice Plus. And we are going to have two very special guest speakers, and they both have the same name. They both are named Jennifer Myers. So we are going to have Jennifer Myers from Colorado and Jennifer Myers from Ellsworth, Maine, on to talk about the longevity of Juice Plus and how it applies to the healthy living revolution. So let me open up the lines. I think I have it. So guys, thank you so much. Heather and Tahki, I appreciate you both so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Loved it.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.